How do you feel?
Fine. I just feel a little worried of all the time you're gonna be gone.
You realize where I'm going, right? To another country.
Yeah, I've
It's
never
far.
been there.
You never been there. I was born there, and I'm gonna be away for 1 week, okay? But you have to take care of mom and dad.
Yeah.
Right?
And myself.
Go to school. I'll be back in 1 week. It's gonna be quick, okay? Don't feel sad. I'll be back, okay?
No llores, papacito.
Te va a
No
estar
llores,
bien.
hijo. Todo va a estar
Va a
bien.
venir pronto, ¿ok?
Abrázalo.
Deja enfermar.
Espérate. Cuidado con el micrófono, Cuidado con el
Va a
micrófono.
venir pronto.
Va a estar bien, ¿eh? No llores. Si no, vas a hacer llorar a mí. ¿Mm? Un día tú vas a ir a México. ¿Mm? Okay?
Pero
One day.
esperemos que sea juntos.
You're gonna go to Mexico. That's our country. But this is home, okay?
Christian's big brother is hours away from leaving his home and family for a 7-day trip 227 years in the making. When America enacted its first immigration policy, the United States Naturalization Law of 1790, citizenship was extended only to free white persons of good character. That same law recognized the children of those free white people of good character, giving birth to the phrase natural-born citizens. That was the first step on the path to citizenship, only a few steps away from its first stumbling block. A passage specifying the right of citizenship does not descend to persons whose fathers have never been residents in the United States. Persons like Mauro.
When I left Mexico, I was 11. I knew we were gonna go to another country. I knew we were gonna migrate, but I didn't have idea it was gonna be something related to a law. Even until then, I was in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Immigration had nothing to do in my life. I didn't know what that was. 9th grade, 10th grade. I would say when I was 16, during the summer, usually people get their first summer jobs. We start, applying for a work permit, driver's license. And I felt that I was being banned from privileges or from the right to just get a job, to work. That's when being an undocumented immigrant started affecting my life. And
then a life-changing announcement.
Imagine you've done everything right your entire life. Studied hard, worked hard, maybe even graduated at the top of your class, only to suddenly face the threat of deportation to a country that you know nothing about, with a language that you may not even speak. That's what gave rise to the DREAM Act. It says that if your parents brought you here as a child, you've been here for 5 years, and you're willing to go to college or serve in our military, you can one day earn your citizenship.
On this day, Mauro and 66 other DACA recipients are embarking on an academic and cultural study abroad program to Mexico City, created by the Jaime Lucero Mexican Studies Institute at Lehman College. For this trip, each participant was granted advanced parole, which gives people without permanent residency a lawful reentry permit back into the U.S. That reentry, however, is not automatic, but at the discretion of each border agent. And that keeps Mauro's parents up at night.
Ya llegó el día, ya, como les dije, ya apliqué, me aceptaron. Voy a ir a México. Solo quiero decirles que se sientan seguros, que todo va a estar bien. Y no sé cómo se sienten ustedes. ¿Nerviosos?
Bueno, pues sí, de nuestra parte, hijo, pues sí estamos nerviosos porque pues vas a ir a México, ¿verdad? Donde ya naciste, pero es por tu bien y nosotros pues te deseamos suerte, hijo. Que te cuides allá mucho y te deseamos suerte, hijo. No sé, tu mamá tiene que decir algo.
Muchas cosas, que te cuides, hijo. Estoy nerviosa y asustada.
Así igual la pareja que me cruzó. Nos paramos en
Ahora.
un círculo.
Her fears are not unfounded, and the chair of the New York City Council's Committee on Immigration also understands the stakes.
There will be discretion at the border when they return from Mexico, from the border agents. and we're hoping for a smooth transition. But the worst case scenario is that they're not going to be allowed an official return. And they understand that risk. These are about lives. So many of these young people are fighters, and every one of them, like I said before, understands the risk, and they're willing to take this risk to really put the entire system through its test, a test of humanity.
O sea, a nosotros nos gustaría dejarte al aeropuerto, ¿verdad, hijo? Pero pues no se puede y
No, pues a veces es un riesgo que
es un riesgo, hijo, pero...
vayan.
Ujú.
A risk they're facing with hope and a prayer.
Dios Todopoderoso, que en esta hora te pedimos por nuestro Hijo Mauro, Jesús, lo protejas, lo bendigas, que estés a su lado, mi Señor. Lo lleves con bien y lo traigas con bien, Señor. En ti creemos, en ti esperamos, que lo vas a llevar con bien y traerlo con bien, Señor. Gracias, mi Señor. Gracias por todo lo que le das a Él.
Y no me lo dejes.
What do you think your parents' dream for you was coming to America and watching you get on a plane to Mexico tonight?
And I remember one day my mom asked me for forgiveness with tears on her eyes, saying that they brought me here for my benefit, my best, but then seeing me that I would just, go and do labor work and then go back home and not having this right to earn an education, she will feel guilty. And she told me that, and then I looked at her and said, no, don't ever feel that way, because the most important thing for me is to be with my parents. It doesn't matter the circumstances, the situation, as long as I'm with them, as long as they took me with them to this country, that's what I care the most about.
So when you heard about DACA the year after you graduated high school, were you going to be first in line, or did you guys have a family meeting around the kitchen table again and decide if this is worth it? Is it a trap? Can this happen?
But when I first heard about DACA, the first thing that came to my mind was fear. It was fear because it was giving up my immigration status, I was giving up my identity, all my information, and I felt that I would put in risk not just myself but my family.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I spoke to my parents. We all agreed that I was not gonna apply. We felt that it was like, a trap. One of the reasons is because DACA, it's something temporary,
In President Obama's own words, the DREAM Act is not amnesty, immunity, or a pathway to citizenship. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals deprioritizes registered, undocumented young people from immigration enforcement hit lists. It can also be dismantled with the stroke of a pen. Why risk it just to go away for a week?
For a week. Well, when I found out about this program, I felt fear. And to be honest, the main reason why I applied was my friends. My parents didn't want me to apply. They said, no, do not go, it's a risk. But I said, no, it's for my own good, it's for my benefit. I was fearful myself, but my friends, they told me, you can't miss this chance, You can't miss this chance of, number one, revisiting your culture, your country, and number two, entering the U.S. lawfully. So that's the reason why I took the risk, because the benefits that this story abroad has, just not only fall on the emotional, but also on a chance of adjusting my immigration status at the end of the day. So that's why I took the risk, because I feel that, because there's a high chance that they may not let us back in the country, And then what about my parents? What about my brother? My school? All of these things went through my head. But then I said, let me take the risk for the same exact reason, for them.
So how you doing?
Yeah, so there's a lot of emotion going on just right now, knowing that I'm on my way to visit Mexico once again. I will never expect to go back this soon. Never. Especially in a situation where there's this political atmosphere where they're targeting against not just immigrants but specifically Mexicans.
So they're also going to Mexico to the program, but they're going to Puebla. Except for my friend here, he's going to Mexico City. Say hi to the camera.
What are you excited about now? You're like a minute away from checking in.
I'm excited to see my father. I really am.
Oh wow. When was the last time you saw your dad?
It's been over a decade, so I'm very excited to see him.
Over a decade. We have all the Skype in the world, all the FaceTimes, but there's no sub for hugging your dad.
No, there's nothing to compare actually physically being able to hug him and seeing him, so I'm excited.
Well, so that's worth the risk already.
It's worth it, you know, even if I stay there and I don't come back, no, I'm hoping to.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to see my dad and to see my family.
Yeah. It's never been as politically charged as it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of us are taking this risk because we have to go before January 20th, before the president-elect takes over, and, you know, we don't know what he's going to do. So this is essentially a way to one day become a resident.
With each reunion, lecture, and night spent in Mexico, students were one day closer to the uncertainty of re-entry at the border. And while most of America was sleeping in on MLK Day, at 6 a.m., anxious families waited on the other side of the customs checkpoint at JFK.
Yeah, we are in the arrivals at Terminal 1, just waiting for you and every person who you've been with for the last week to come through the doors.
Incredible.
So is everyone in great spirits and happy and up and all that jazz?
Yeah, in every way.
Okay.
I'll see you on the other side then.
All right. See you soon.
Okay, awesome.
Bye.
40 minutes later, without any mariachi fanfare, students began streaming in.
So what were the final moments like? You got here, you passed customs, you aced it.
It was nerve-wracking for sure. We were nervous, but it was pretty easy to just come.
So I went to bed that evening thinking about you hugging your dad. You have to give me the play-by-play.
Oh my God, it was just seeing him as soon as I walked out of that airport was just a magical moment. I cannot describe it. I just felt a warm feeling in my heart, and seeing him was something that it was priceless. It was something priceless. Being able to hug him and touch him, it was beautiful.
While this early morning group was back in the USA, a family in Brooklyn was still missing one piece. Mauro's parents have been in daily contact with him for the last week, and they know the other half of the group returned this morning, but it still hasn't taken the worry from their faces. Then, just before 1 a.m., a week since they last saw him,
Entra, hijo, entra. Ni le subiste, papá. Regrésala.
After some more smiles and a souvenir exchange, we were back in the kitchen, talking about life on both sides of the border.
It's sad that my future is once again not in my hands, that once again I may have to be an immigrant, start all over again.
Yeah.
But this trip made me open my eyes and see that Mexico has positive things that I can bring and my partners can bring a good future. And the only thing that worries me is those immigrants who may not have the proper education or that may not be prepared to start once again.
So just get me through that moment. You got off the plane, you're standing there, you got your papers ready, your passport open to the photo page. What was happening?
And we had all our paperwork ready, and then we were called into the immigration office. They held us there for about 30 minutes, but no interviews. All we had to do was wait, and then we were ready to go. But not until that moment I felt that I was welcome home, because it was funny because we were all walking, and when you're walking down the hallway, there's like two signs. One says U.S. and then non-U.S. So then, we were just joking around. Where are we? I mean, are we U.S.? Are we non-U.S.?
Right.
Are we visitors? Because we feel like visitors over there.
Yeah.
And then we come here, and then we're visitors here. So where are we? And then, once I got my passport stamped, that feeling that it was a success, that this one trip that I once decided to take this risk, it was all worth it. That
Now all of us can get, that benefit, not just of going back and reconnecting, but that legal benefit that can readjust an immigration status in the future. And I feel home. I feel home.
De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, tiene a la boca.